Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, week number 2 for 2025. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact over the past 7 days, you will be named Wrestler of the Week. Every week, points will be tabulated, and whoever has the most points at the end of the calendar year will be named Male and Female Wrestler of the Year. We are in a post-TNA Genesis environment. We also have AEW Maximum Carnage in the rearview mirror. We are less than 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. We are on our way towards NXT Vengeance Day. We had so many big title changes, debuts, title retention, so let's just get into it. First up, the women and some honorable mentions. The Ring of Honor Women's Television title holder Red Velvet would defeat Angelica Risk in a Ring of Honor Television title proving ground match. Metaphor, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson would defeat the Unholy Union on NXT to earn a #1 contender spot for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Mi Sarah from Stardom would defeat Saki Kashima for the High Speed Stardom title at Stardom New Year's Stars. And Mai Sakurai from Marigold would defeat Nagisa Nozeki to retain the Marigold United National title. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the women. Kicking off the list for the women is Tessa Blanchard, who at TNA Genesis would pick up a major victory over Jordan Grace. For her shocking win over Stephanie Vacker on NXT, Shotzi arrives at number 9, and she has a shot at Fallon Henley's NXT Women's North American title. We have a 3-way tie at number 8 between 3 tag team champs, Nanae Takahashi and Sarah Yamaoka from Marigold, who would win the Marigold Twin Star titles from Bozilla and Tank at New Year's Golden Garden. Bianca Belair and Naomi from WWE would retain their WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae on SmackDown. And finally, Spitfire, the team of Jody Threat and Dani Luna, would retain their TNA Knockouts Tag titles against Ash and Heather by Elegance at TNA Genesis. We have a tie at number 7 between the role model Bayley and the prodigy Roxanne Perez for their major interactions on NXT and SmackDown, and I am stoked for this upcoming feud. For the second week, Utami Hayashishita of Marigold appears on the list, this week at number 6 for retaining her Marigold World title against both Tank and Megaton at both Marigold New Year shows. The number 5 female wrestler of the week is rocker Toni Storm, who won the first ever women's casino gauntlet match on Dynamite and will now face AEW Women's Champ Mariah May at AEW Grand Slam Australia. The forever champion, Athena of Ring of Honor, comes in at number 4 for defeating Thekla to continue her historic reign as Ring of Honor Women's Champ at Stardom New Year's Stars. Stopping in at number 3 is the new WWE Women's Champ Tiffany Stratton, who would push back against Bayley on SmackDown for her very first title defense. Masha Slamovic would retain her TNA Knockouts title in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match at TNA Genesis against Rosemary, and that brings her to the runner-up spot for the women. And the female wrestler of the week for week number 2 is the first ever women's WWE Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, who would defeat Dakota Kai on Raw is Netflix to become inaugural champion. Congratulations. And now to the men and some honorable mentions. Commander would defeat QT Marshall to retain his Ring of Honor World Television title on Ring of Honor on Honor Club. Sheamus would defeat Ludwig Kaiser on WWE Raw is Netflix, and he will now face Braun Breaker for the WWE Intercontinental title at Saturday night's main event. And finally, I want to give a major shout out to Christopher Daniels of AEW for finishing up his career and retiring after a valiant loss in a wild Texas death match against Hangman Adam Page. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. Kicking off the list for the men is Mike Santana, who at TNA Genesis would defeat Josh Alexander in a crazed I Quit match, prompting Alexander to quit TNA wrestling entirely. Damian Priest pops into the number 9 spot for the men for his big Raw on Netflix Street Fight match win against Finn Balor. The number 8 spot for the men this week belongs to a couple of CMLL talents. Guerrero Maya Jr., who defeated Zuela to retain his Mexican national middleweight title, and Star Black, who pushed back against Crixus to hold on to his CMLL Mexican national heavyweight title. Welcome back, Cleaner. We have Kenny Omega this week at number 7, who would beat the Machine Brian Cage in his return to AEW Dynamite. We have a tie for a couple of tag teams at number 6. Fraxium, who would retain their NXT titles versus OTM on NXT, and the Hardys, who defended their TNA tag titles against the Rascals. And crazier, Fraxium would appear at TNA Genesis to watch the Hardys retain. Coming in at number 5 is Kazuchika Okada of AEW, who would defeat Tomohiro Ishii to retain his AEW Continental title on Collision. Moose, the current TNA X Division champ with new title belt, comes in at number 4 this week, defending his title against Ace Austin at TNA Genesis. In the number 3 spot this week is AEW World Champ Jon Moxley, who retained his title against Powerhouse Hobbs on AEW Dynamite. Do you believe in Joe Hendry? Coming in the runner-up spot is the new TNA World Heavyweight Champ Joe Hendry, who defeated Nick Nemeth at TNA Genesis. And for his outstanding debut and win over Chad Gable on Raw is Netflix is the luchador Penta. Welcome to WWE. Here is hoping for a great run. Cero miedo. And here are the weekly standings for the men and the women after week number 2. Last week was a major one in the world of professional wrestling, and I only expect the momentum to continue as we move towards the Royal Rumble. What did you guys think of my choices for male and female wrestler of the week? Did you agree or disagree with my choices? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.